Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Ophelia here, and tonight I thought I would just come on and share a quick video of me just playing around in my journal. Tonight I thought it's honestly just been a long day and I just wanted to play around and just kind of share with you guys some of the things that I'm going to do. Now I'm working on a page here that has the pink in the middle, has where I've cleaned off a stencil. So I'm just going to cover that with some bits of ephemera, and those can be found in my Etsy shop. I'm just going to start by ripping pieces of paper apart. I've got matte medium over on the right hand side that I'm going to use to glue that down. But first I'm just going to start by putting on some gloves in a bottle to protect my hands. In all honesty, this started as a full-length walkthrough video, and everything that could go wrong honestly went wrong. And I almost deleted all of the footage, but I thought that what a way to just watch me struggle. I have no other words than this entire video was a struggle. I'm just using matte medium to glue down the pages, and as I was doing this, my first thought was, since the day had been so long, was, you know what, Ophelia, just turn the camera off, go downstairs, shower it up, go to bed. And I thought, no, I'm just going to keep going. That's one of the things that I'm just wanting to learn to push through and not have an excuse to just always give up. And so instead of turning off the camera and going to bed, or deleting the footage, you know what? You all just get to see me do this the way that it happens a lot of the time. Not every time do my sketchbook pages turn out perfectly. A lot of times it is just a mess, and so tonight you guys get to see me kind of struggle through it. Speaking of night, I hope that the lighting is okay, because it is around 8 p.m. here where I am. And I just felt like today was just a long, rough day. And so I've put all of that down. Instead of letting it dry, I'm going right in with my gesso, and I'm just using the Jerry's gesso to just put on a thin layer to cover it up. And then I'm going to get the dryer here and dry it up. But actually, before I dried it, I decided to get a pencil, just a regular 2B pencil, and just make marks in the wet gesso, because I don't know why. Tonight I just felt like doing it, and I really like the look that it gives when there's just scratches or words or thoughts underneath. So I'm not sure if you can even see that texture, but I just like the way it looks. I'm gonna let that dry. And then now that it's all dry, I realized on my desk I have some watercolors, and it's just my Lukas watercolor paints. And I know that I'm going to use some titanium white, some Fern by Lukas, and some, both the titanium white and the Fern were by Lukas. The light blue is by Amsterdam, and that's called Sky Blue Light. And then the Lukas Prussian Blue. So I know I want to use that color palette. So I'm just going to grab some colors from my watercolors in those same types of colors, just to use them because they were sitting on my desk. No rhyme, no reason, other than that's kind of the color palette I'm working with. I used a spray bottle with water just to kind of wet the page down a little bit so that the colors would move around a bit more. And sometimes in putting watercolors down, instead of, especially on gesso, I should just like put it down and let it go. But this time I worked it a bit too hard, and so you can see where there's like bubbles and brush marks or brush strokes in the watercolor paints. But that's fine, because I am going to end up covering everything up with acrylic paint. So you really won't be able to see the watercolors underneath. And so I started to go in with some acrylic paint, and then I thought I should dry everything else up before I kept going because I didn't want things to mush around so much. So now that I've gotten everything dry, I'm coming in with some acrylic paints, and all I'm doing is just building this background. I know that since I am in, and it's not even a bad mood, but it is, I'm just feeling a little grumpy because nothing was going right. One thing that I always find helps me out a lot is to journal things that I'm grateful for. And so I know that's the plan that I have as far as the way that I want this page to look. But other than that, I'm just playing around with the colors that I chose. And I think I chose those because they were sitting on my desk. Um, and I'm just putting down colors, building the background. I let that dry up, and I decided to go in with a little bit more of a darker blue instead of moving into something else. So I'm just adding some of that Prussian blue with some of the titanium white to soften it up just a little bit before I carried on. And again, usually I go way too far when I'm building the background instead of stopping when things look okay. I kind of keep going with picking with it and playing with it and putting things down, taking things off with that white paint or covering them back up. Um, and that's just kind of my process. Even when I paint in abstracts, I think that's the beauty of all of this is you can put things in, take things away, and it's okay. So I'm just kind of, again, fussing with it all, putting down some more paint to just cover up a couple of things or add a couple of things. And once that was all dry, I found this stamp, and I apologize that it's been in my drawer for years, and I have no idea of where it came from. And I'm using that Hero Art Shadow Ink and Cornflower, and I'm just going to ink this stamp up and just to add a little bit of texture to the background. However, when I was stamping it, I realized that I stamped, it was almost a pattern, and it made it look way too perfect. So I dried up some of that ink just because I wasn't sure of how well it was going to react with paint. And then I'm coming back in with some more acrylic paint to just take away some of the perfect pattern that was stamped with that stamp. I think I just went a bit too far with stamping. So I'm just adding a bit more acrylic paint to the background and taking away some of the stamped edges. And then I will let all of that dry up. And I apologize, I thought I hit record, but on that left-hand side there is where I added a little bit more of the Prussian Blue. And then I'm just grabbing some ephemera, some Tisha Moore, some Robin Marie Smith, just a lot of little bits that I've got, some jelly art where I, what do you call it, gel pressed, or, oh gosh, I can't remember the word now, but I made some papers with my gel plate and some water marbling, and so I'm just going to use some of those. I'm tearing down the yellow is the one that I jelly printed, and I'm going to use that to kind of chop up to make or number what I'm grateful for. So I've just decided that I would use 4. And then the image down there is a Tisha Moore, and I just love that her her collage sheets they honestly just speak to me. I don't know. I think it is that they say what it is that I'm feeling or something. And that bottom strip that I just cut is a Robin Marie Smith that I'm going to use on the bottom. I'm just going to use some matte medium to glue all of those down with. And again, when I say things everything that could go wrong tonight went wrong, and I just kept going. It was fine. But when I was starting to glue down the yellow pieces of paper, I just really did. I feel as though sometimes I just get into my own head and I overthink things. And so I just thought, you know what, Ophelia, just glue them down. And so I glued down that green star, and then I was fussing around with where to put the yellow, and it's like, okay, executive decision. Let's put it here. No, let's pick it up. Let's put it there. And in the end, I realized that I really didn't like where I put them, but you know what? It's okay. It's the only thing I wanted to do was to play around in this journal and get myself out of this grumpy mood that I was in. So even though I just really didn't like the placement, I glued it and I just kept going. I'm sorry. And then I dried it up, and I used the Jerry's Jumbo Jet pencil to go around the edges, and the paint wasn't really dry enough, but I just kept going. And, you know, I couldn't even get the Jumbo Jet pencil to outline the images tonight. I don't know what was going on, but um, it I was just making a mess of everything. And I thought, it's just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. And that's one thing that I hope that you guys will take away from any of my videos, is that, you know what, it's all about play, and it does not have to be perfect. This is just you being creative in your space, and it doesn't matter what it looks like, or the entire thing is that you've just spent some time being creative. And for me, I enjoy the process. The end result isn't as, it doesn't bother me as much. So I used an eraser to kind of erase some of the mess that I made, and that's just a Marie's 4B eraser, because I made such a mess going around those edges. Um, so I'm just carrying on, grunging up some of the edges, and I used the black FW ink and my dip pen and nib, and I'm just going to do a little bit of journaling. And again, I can't even get through the video without more things going wrong. But I just know I want to journal what I am grateful for. And so I just, it just puts me in a better place when I just stop, spend time in my journal, and just document things that I'm grateful for. And you know, it never fails to make me feel far better. So tonight I said that I was grateful for my family. I even misnumbered my yellow squares, and that's okay too. Just keep going, Ophelia. But I numbered them 1 through 4, and then I decided to go ahead back in, and unfortunately now the ink is wet, so I have to kind of carefully shimmy my way around writing so that I don't touch the ink. But I just wrote that I'm grateful for, you know, being able to play in my art room, being able to play with art and with my journal. I'm grateful definitely for my family, because they just provide, you know, such a haven from this crazy world. I also said that I am definitely grateful for my space and being able to just play in my the studio, and that I'm grateful for the ability to grow from the mistakes that I made, because I feel as though this page was just one ginormous mistake after another after another. So, once I had all of that in place, I decided to bring my that black ink and just go around those yellow squares to maybe cover up a bit where I made such a mess with that Jumbo Jet black pencil. So I just used the black ink with the nib to go around those edges, and then I decided that I would use some white ink and just the nozzle, not to spray it, but just use some of that white ink to scratch in a couple of the areas, you know, just to add a bit more marks and such like that. Again, I ruined that, so I brought my pencil in to kind of cover it up. Um, but I'm so happy that I kept going with this page, because after I did it, I just felt so much better. And I invite all of you guys to just find the courage to just play. I found a little piece of paper on my desk and decided to use my glue stick to glue that down, and it just says art. Um, and so I used the jumbo jet pencil to go around that, and um, just to glue it down. But then I also used that pencil just to kind of grunge it up some. I then took some of that black ink with that uh, nib to go around it a little bit more, because I made such a mess trying to outline it. And with that, guys, I called it a night. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.